It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Asta.
And we're live on Car con Carne, still in quarantine. This right here is the 225th episode recorded this year. It's episode 525. Oh my God. Before I introduce tonight's guest, I do want to acknowledge a couple of quick things. First off, this week I got this. I ordered this on Bandcamp Day. It is the vinyl reissue of the album Kettleman Don't from Triple Fast Action. Triple Fast, one of the great unheralded Chicago bands of the 90s. This album, one of the great unheralded albums. This entire double album package is fantastic. Get it, buy it on Bandcamp while it's still there. I think limited copies available. I've been enjoying listening to this. It's such a pleasure listening to vinyl from Chicago bands, especially. I also want to acknowledge, I just jumped off to get here. I jumped off the Virtual Night We Stole Christmas live stream that 101 WKQX put together. I want to acknowledge how cool that was, what a wonderful experience that was to watch. And I want to give props to my friend, specifically Giorgio Reyes, the videographer, video producer of that. He just made that look so fucking great. It was really cool to watch. One final thing of note, my mail list, my sign up list on carconcarne.com. There are so many reasons to join it, not the least of which being you get to find out what's coming up in Car con Carne. But people in the email list found out that if they gave me their home address, they got something in return. One of these handsome Car con Carne membership cards. Look at that. Those went out in the mail this week. I thought it was kind of a silly idea when I did it, but now I'm really glad I did. So sign up for the email list, carconcarne.com. You have a week left to sign up and still be in the running for that $50 gift card to Byron's, which is amazing. So my guest tonight, about a month ago, right before Thanksgiving, I had him on. He is artist George Zak. Welcome back, George.
Welcome, James. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I think we're just going to do this before every major holiday. That's the way we're trending at this point.
You know what? I'm okay with that. Get to talk to you, get to, put my art out there, and, good time.
Do they still acknowledge Casimir Pulaski Day? Can we do something for Pulaski Day?
That's my favorite day. My last name is actually Zakshesky, so Casimir Pulaski Day is a very holy, sacred day.
So do you have one of those Polish surnames that has very little vowels, very few vowels?
Yeah. It's my last name is spelled like if you mash the keyboard.
Uh-huh. Just all consonants.
Yeah. Z-R-Z-K-Z-R-W.
So for all intents and purposes, you are George Zak. I'm good with that.
It was always an easier thing. And my father, they always called him Zach. So that was kind of like a little hand-me-down because it was just easier to say pronounced, and people are like, hey, Georgie alphabet, get over here.
So when we talked last time, I'm going to have you kind of re-explain who you are and what your journey has been. You spent years toiling in the restaurant industry. The bottom fell out of the restaurant industry because of the pandemic this year. And you used that as an opportunity to follow your passion for painting and creating artwork. That in turn has led to fair amount of success. Your stuff's flying off the walls at your shop, at your workshop there. You're keeping super busy. It's like this is the career that has been waiting for the opportunity to present itself for you. It really kind of came together serendipitously because of the pandemic.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be in this spot if the pandemic didn't hit. Years in the restaurant business and, being a chef or GM of bars and restaurants, you don't have a lot of time. It's hours and hours and hours and hours a day. And then you get done late and it's, off to the owl for drinks or whatever. And, the hard part is that's where a bunch of art gets curbed. I wasn't even barely finishing 2-3 paintings or works of art a year, over the past 15 years or whatever. And the fact that when COVID hit and, you just kind of got so much time, there's only so much TV you can watch. There's only so many video games you can play. There's only so many, not going to places that you can do. And for me, it was very like, all right, well, I picked up a paintbrush again and started painting. And the more I do it, the more I want to do it. And it's cathartic, and it's really I wasted so much of my life, and I won't say wasted. That's a bad way to say it, but I've spent so much of my life, like, in a bar, or, not being productive with my time. And I can't think of a better way than creating art and stuff that people like, to move on. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't do this, 25, 30 years ago.
But you can't. That's not a healthy way to look at things. I mean, you're here, you're doing it now, and you're loving it. Period. Full stop.
And that's a good point.
Right situation, right time.
It wouldn't be the same art. It wouldn't be the same art.
Yeah. No, I think you should revel in the fact that you found this time, and the muse spoke to you now, and you're moving forward with it. I think
it's fun and it's great. And I literally have to purge it now. I'm in the shower or wake up in the middle of the night, and I have to sketch ideas. And James, I got 100 more paintings that are in my head that are all on deck right now.
See, and the challenge of this type of creativity is nothing can be done quickly. I mean, there's a bottleneck. It's like the Hillside Strangler. They all just kind of pile up there waiting for their access point to merge on in. You can't, there's no fast process to this.
No, it's not. And it's a weird thing too, because, I'll do a piece of art and like it, and, kind of wait a week before I even look at it again for framing purposes or whatever, because I'm not working on one. I'm working on 7 different paintings right now, or, pieces of art, or however you want to categorize it. I'm not a person that can start it and paint it and embellish it and frame it and follow it all the way through. I mean, it's too frantic, Your
website, before we show some paintings, your website is
oddkidart.com. That's oddkidart.com, and it's up and running, and I have a lot of stuff on there. And in the next day or two, because I've been doing commissions so much, but now that Christmas is here, I can actually get 40 more pieces up. So
you're busy. You're definitely busy. All right, let's show some of this stuff. And one of the things you talked about framing, one of the things I really enjoy about your presentation is, yes, the actual painting is the focus of the piece, but you put thought into the framing. The framing is part of the overall aesthetic of each work.
Absolutely. Well, it's like I mentioned on the show last time, it's framing is expensive, and when you give the gift of art or whatever, or you buy it for yourself, it's probably not what the artist had envisioned for it. And that's why I kind of do funky, weird, stuff that's not, hundreds and hundreds of dollars of fine mahogany, All
right, let's talk about some of these pictures. And I realize we're recording this live to video on Facebook. That's the way I record all these shows now. I realize that for people listening after the fact, in true podcast form, might struggle because they can't see what we're showing. To that I say, we're going to do our best job to describe what you're seeing, but also go to oddkidart.com to see these things in all their glory. All right, so let's begin, George Zak, artist George Zak. Starting with this whole thing. One pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. This is just a trippy mushroom Alice in Wonderland psychedelic freak out thing you have going on here.
It is. And so I made a painting one night, and I was messing around with glow in the dark paints and whatever, and I really couldn't stand it. And then once I embellished it, what happened was, and you might get to it later, it's very Saved by the Bell or a swatch or whatever. And I kind of was like, you know what? what do writers do? What do, cinematographers do? They do the things that they know. They do the things that they grew up with. So I wanted to start a whole nostalgia series. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and, nostalgia's on the mind a lot now, Stranger Things or whatever, people buying each other bubble tape, And what happened is I started doing all these things, and that's kind of the series we're going to run through tonight. That's the Grateful Dead parking lot at Soldier Field to me. For all honesty. I was listening. I put on some old Dead albums, and was in the studio. And before I knew it, I was like, okay, I just painted a trippy mushroom. And when I paint, it just kind of turns off. It's almost like time traveling. I just kind of do whatever comes out, and it's just, I look up later and I'm like, wow, holy shit, this is something. And a partner of mine, Raphael, helped me with the framing, and we kind of just put it all together. And it's, paper mache type situation, mushrooms on top of the, psychedelic mushroom. And it was basically, that was Soldier Field parking lot minus the nitrous balloons.
Yeah. I mean, this is all about mushrooms, and it's super colorful. It is it's trippy. It's psychedelic. I think there's a certain type of collector or person who would want this on his or her wall.
Only for certain people,
Yeah, I mean, if I put this on my wall, my kids would walk in and be like, Dad, what kind of fucked up midlife crisis are you going through?
Tell their teachers, and you're going to be investigated by DCFS.
Exactly. Yesterday you were drinking a Fresca, and, now you got this on the wall. What's happening? But you mentioned listening to Grateful Dead albums. What, traditionally the Grateful Dead fans hated the studio albums. The passive fans didn't give a shit. They were fine with them. What's your favorite Grateful Dead album?
Maybe Space, or, it was one of those things where, the Grateful Dead at 17 at Soldier Field parking lot was a place to get psychedelics, and, the concerts and the whatever. I mean, they toured for 40 years. Mm-hmm. They have, 300 Japanese bootlegs, and it was just kind of one of those things where it was a time and place,
for sure.
For me and a lot of my friends, and a lot of people in Chicago. I put on my Birkenstocks and my tie dye and my patchouli, and went about my day.
All right, let's look at this one. This feels very 1980s to me. I guess to describe it, because you'll probably describe it better than I can.
Well, that's the one that started it, and I started messing around with different brands and different densities of glow in the dark paint, because I did a few where, like, it's one painting and you flip off the light, and it's another, but it's not. They weren't like super strong or anything. So I started messing around with these paints, and I just kind of was like splashing around. And before I fixed it, I was like, I want to smash it. It didn't. It was kind of awful, and it was like, well, me and one of the guys here were talking, and it was like, wow, it's kind of very 80s. So basically, it looks like a swatch background with geometric shapes, and I called this one "Swatched by the Bell." So those were kind of like the squiggles and the shapes and the. It's basically the front of a Trapper Keeper,
That's okay. That's perfect. You said that beautifully. All right, let's go here. It's a skull and crossbones, but I don't know what the skull is that I'm looking at.
Well, that's the Powell Peralta symbol. Tony Hawk and Stacy Peralta and all the old skate stuff from skateboarders, and it's the cat and crossbones, and that was I remember drawing that everywhere I could in my notebooks and stuff, and it's like the cat face, and then what I did was, to frame it, I put a grind rail on the top, because I was a big skater, so like all the old skate art has, these boards that they came out with, whether it was Tony Hawk or Lance Mountain or whatever, were legit works of art. And there's a reason that these old boards are going for $1,500 or $3,000 or whatever. and I wanted to just pay homage to it. So I did the old Bones Brigade symbol, and then I put a grind rail on the top and kind of a little version of a skate deck on the bottom with, you know, my little odd kid symbol on there. And it kind of came out. It's like, you know, like almost like Dogtown Classy or something, you know.
And I used to think that Grind Rail was the name of a strip club. It's not.
that was as well.
Yeah, me and my buds, we're going to the Grind Rail after the show.
The Grind Rail. That's exactly. But I mean, James, you know, this really was my nostalgia. And different people have nostalgia, you know, and what they remember. And I remember, like, you know, waking up in the summer and it being, you know, 9:30, and I was literally brushed my teeth out the door at 9:33 to go skate or die with all my little friends all day long, you know, tear up and, you know, cops are hassling us, man, or you know, whatever, and just kind of, you know, I mean, those were the days, you know. Those definitely were the days.
Well, speaking of nostalgia, of all there's so many tragedies, bad things, terrible, shitty moments in 2020. Losing Eddie Van Halen, of course, terrible, cataclysmic event in rock and roll. What we're looking at here is an Eddie Van Halen guitar. I mean, it's unmistakable, and
it's absolutely. And actually, that is a work of art from one of our artists here, Raphael. Do you want to come talk about your art here, boy?
About Eddie?
So he made it, so I can't really speak to it. So
gotcha. Hi, Raphael. I'm James.
Hi, how are you, James? Well, we made this because, you know, I mean, think about it. Eddie Van Halen was everything back in the day. Van Halen was huge. And when he died, it took a piece of all of us. Right. So I wanted to make sure it was just demoralized a little bit.
So what are we looking at here? It's hard to tell from the image. The actual work is shaped like a guitar. I mean, it's not a framed.
That's all wood. Yeah, I cut it all out, carved it, hand carved it, did the neck, everything. Even the strings are actual, just wire. This is all stuff we have in the studio here.
It looks so real as well.
It just kind of, you know, the hands do what they do, and mine just took over, and time travel is what it feels like. And before you know it, you have this huge piece. And you're like, oh my God, where's the word? You know, where can I plug in my cord? It's the only thing in my hand, really. But.
Yeah, it's as realistic as it gets. And it's, you know, as paying homage to Eddie and to Art. You know, looking at the picture now that you have up, James, it's pretty funny because, like, you look at it in person and, you know, it's folk art, you know, it's basically nowadays folk art. And I don't know how he did it and whatever, but it's,
I don't know either. Just kind of happened.
Well, nice job. So if I pick it up, can I play So This Is Love, Mean Street, Unchained?
A little out of tune, maybe.
Yeah,
a little out of tune. I love it. Nice job, Raphael. Thank you for sliding on over.
Yeah.
All right, let's go down our list here. We have, and I love this, and I don't know if I can rotate this. There we go. You want to talk nostalgia? Here we go. It is quintessential sound system from the past. We're looking at a giant state-of-the-art boombox scenario, right?
Well, you know what?
It's a stereo system.
That's not. It's a boombox that actually has a handle that it's hanging on, but you can't really see it great from the. Oh
yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
It is not just a giant boombox. It is the boombox. That is Radio Raheem's boombox that I painted from Do the Right Thing.
Nice.
And, looked it up, and you know, it's obviously not, you know, exact. I took you know, poetic license, if you will. You know, there's when you look close and stuff, there's Radio Raheem and Spike Lee and all kinds of stuff in there, and it took forever because I'm not the kind of artist that's you know, I'm not a geometric. You know, there's a lot of art that's very architectural, you know. So the straight lines and the, you know, the straight circles and everything were a pretty good challenge for me. But Like it came out amazing. It came out amazing, and it hangs on the wall, so it's just a boombox in the
That's
handle.
awesome.
And it's
That's
straight
awesome.
from the movie. Radio Raheem Kieran and Bill Nunn actually died. Maybe it was this year or last year. So I put a bunch of like his birthday and his death date and little tributes to him, inside the numbers and letters and stuff. So
that was super
one
cool.
Came out great. I'm happy with it. It's actually 3 canvases put together.
That is super cool. And this goes back to what we were saying about how the frame and how it hangs on the wall is part of the piece. It really is a deliberate part of the piece.
I almost can't understand why people would take like a funky, cool painting or something and then, put a high gloss mahogany antique looking frame on it. It's, it's almost, I don't know a lot of artists that are doing their own frames or whatever, but it almost should be industry standard, and I'm not trying to insult anybody or anything, but in my mind, at least, I mean, I'm not the greatest woodworker in the world, but I can make my idea on how it should look for, a specific painting that I made,
The Woodworker is another great strip club name, but looking at this picture right here, so it's a firework. It's blowing out the frame. There's a white kind of beveled edge frame that's being blown out on the top and the left, but it says M2020. That's Mad Dog 2020. Yes.
No, well, it is and it isn't. Okay, so once again, these are nostalgia pieces for for my life, and at least one point in my life, Mad Dog 2020 was part of it. But cheap. It's also it's an M80. It's a very cartoon version of an M80, but what the fuck is blowing up this year? It's 2020. So, I did a M2020 and, I was getting ready to, once again, like, how would this look? And I'm thinking about like a nice little antique frame kind of thing. And I'm like, fuck it. It's a firework, man. You know what I mean? It should look like it's, blew off the frame. And, once again, it kind of came out better than I would have thought. And, I kind of love it. If it doesn't sell, I'm going to be happy to put that one on my wall.
Yeah. I mean, the blown out frame is so eye catching, so striking, because it reminds me, and I don't know if I'm going to completely lose you on this, George. So fingers crossed. Back in the day, Will Eisner, legendary, wildly influential graphic artist, created a comic called The Spirit, who is a superhero.
Yeah.
And on the splash page for the opening of all these Spirit comics, the word spirit was part of the background, part of the scene on that page.
Very Frank Miller-ish.
Frank took a ton of inspiration from Will Eisner, but the spirit was just part of the piece. And this feels very, very Will Eisner-ish to me, just how everything works together.
Well, and what did we do, James? I mean, I don't know how your childhood and your nostalgia was, but we got our hands on M80s, we blew up shit, and
apparently all the M80s
reminded me of that. And I was, when all this series started, and I looked down at the swatch type painting, I was kind of like I could picture it on my wrist. So then I thought about, what did my day look like? What did my, best summer days look like? It was Public Enemy. It was skateboarding. It was blowing up shit. It was looking down at my swatch. It was grinding on a rail, and that's kind of just where, what did we do? And it's still like a great looking frame. It's chrome and shiny and, but, I had to blow it up. So,
all right, let's move on. Let's go to this. Oops, sorry. This is fun. This is a very pop art looking piece. There's a super soaker on it. There's, is this all water guns?
It is. And, to touch on that again, I was talking about, my best summer days. And we were talking, and we'd had a couple drinks, and we were talking, and I knew I wanted to do like either a Nerf gun piece or a water gun piece, but sticking with the summer theme. I kind of wanted to do a water gun piece. So I went back and looked at all the like water guns that I tried to remember that I had. And basically this was my arsenal. And the picture in my head was, you know, somebody, you know, the bully kids in the neighborhood threw a bucket of water on me or whatever. And, you know, I went in my room and flipped over the race car bed, and, you know, my arsenal was under there, and I had my super soaker and my, you know, my water guns and my grenade water balloons. And, you know, it's basically like, you know, a dream kid's arsenal of water guns from the 80s and 90s. And it's weird too, because like, so the super soaker and you know, the little small water guns on the top, the green one was actually, it was a company called Entertech, and they were the ones that got in trouble when they made the water guns. They were electric water guns, and they made them too realistic. That's why all the toy guns in the world now have orange tips on it, because their guns were so. I mean, they made like, you know, a big giant AK-47 and stuff like that. So it was, you know, it was nostalgia to put that on there. And the red little Uzi one was the commercial. It was called Zap It. And that was the disappearing ink stuff. So the commercial was like, man, and the guy, you sprayed ink on me. But then it was like, look again, it went away. So, you know, those were the ones I had that I loved, and those were my arsenal. And who could love more than you know, hand grenade water balloons?
Oh, absolutely. Now keep in mind, I haven't seen any of these. My first time seeing all these is everyone else's first time too. So it's taking me a second to take this all in. Love the water balloons hanging from the bottom.
Yeah, on the pegboard. It looks like an arsenal. Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith were 11.
Yes.
Well, they were 11, and they were in a water balloon fight. So they opened up their little spy arsenal, and this is what it looked like, you know. I even put the hose nozzle on there, you know.
Yes, exactly, because that counts. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, now this is a I guess a rocket ship from Galaxian.
It's Galaga, and this is another one that Raphael had made. He's actually got his hands full at the moment with paint, and so basically we took a little cabinet, and he made a resin pour. So the back of it under the spaceship is you know, it's a resin pour. It's got colors in it. It's very space and nebula. And then in the cabinet, he put a bunch of lights, and it was very, you know, it was very cabinet of, you know, Galaga and stand-up arcades and that kind of thing. So it's the, you know, the very recognizable pixel version of the Galaga ship.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Galaxian or Galaga. They kind
of they're all the Space Invaders. They're all kind of, you know.
Oh no,
together in that.
Galaxian was next level.
Yeah,
there was color in Galaxian.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Space Invaders did not have.
Started the whole Metroid, and you know, led into all the space games.
God, when I first discovered Galloping Ghost in what suburb is that? Is that Brookfield? Where they have all those 80s and 70s stand-up games, and I'm like, I haven't played Quicks in 30 years, and I'll see you in an hour.
Well, and then places did it like Logan Hardware, and you know, and it was great. It's great to like look at that stuff. I mean, you know, what's better than, you know, drinking a triple Carmelite and playing Frogger, you know?
All those old games. I'm telling you, when I went to Galloping Ghost, games I hadn't thought of since I was 12 years old. I forgot about the Superman stand-up game, and Dig Dug, I guess, is a big one, but all these obscure gosh, I can't even remember.
Warriors.
Just insane stuff. So yeah, fond memories of that. Fond memories of hanging out at the bowling alley.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in the day, you could tell your parents, I'm going to spend the day at the bowling alley.
Yeah, exactly. If I let my kid go to the bowling alley, I'd have to have cameras on them at all time, you know?
Right. I mean, that in the modern day, that'd be like telling your parents, I'm going to go run off with the carnies.
Yeah, well, the Carcass carnies, right?
Yeah, hey. Notch, well done.
Yeah, you know, it's a different time. You know, I mean, the only thing we were told was don't run with scissors, and you know, don't get in any white vans. You know,
exactly.
Other than that, be home when the street lights are on, and that's
right.
You know, maybe that's the name of the series. when the street lights are on, and that's the whole, homage to my childhood.
Yeah. And you'd come home and get asked, well, what'd you do today? Oh, we just ran around. Meanwhile, my friends and I are jumping on the L, going as far south as we can, like walking through downtown, walking through Lincoln Park at the age of 14, 15. Like, I don't know if this makes me helicoptery or not, but I can't even fathom.
Absolutely. It was, it really was a different time, and, reckless time. I mean, we used to jump off of roofs in the pools and, stole a bottle of schnapps from my mom, let's go drink it in the park, or, we're just kind of asking for trouble back in those days. But
oh God,
they were also really great days,
Oh, no doubt about it. But I remember breaking into friends' parents' liquor cabinets, and we'd skim like an eighth of a 750 milliliter of the bottle, and we'd water it down to make it look like the level hadn't moved. Surely those parents at some point poured themselves a drink and thought, yeah, I'm not feeling anything. I'm not tasting anything. I'm going to kill that kid.
No, they didn't touch it until you stole it back and remembered that you had watered down vodka.
Yeah, exactly.
You stole it later when you needed it all,
Absolutely. All right. So again, oddkidart.com is where we find your stuff, and we can order. Oh, look.
There we go. A little cue card.
We can order commissions on Odd Kid Art. We can see all your stuff. And I love, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. I love this notion of innovating in this most horrible of times, and finding a path for yourself as the dumpster fire is never ending. I think it's really cool what you've been able to do for yourself.
Well, thank you, James. I'm really liking it. I still have my catering company, Chicago Catering, and, I'm still doing that stuff. In the meantime, I have to, it's my release. I have to purge. I have to create, you can't go from, it's like, the old cop that retires after 30 years and starts, monitoring the neighborhood kids or something. You just kind of know what you know. And I like to create, and which brings me to another point. I wanted to make you something.
You don't have to do.
I enjoy it. That one was fun. But once again, it's my pleasure to do it because, I need to get it out, and, to sit around and make cool shit all day is a dream come true. So what's like, what did your perfect summer day entail when you were a little, misguided youth?
I was misguided. By the way, before we get there, I want to point out the fact I have plants in the background.
Okay.
They're new to the Car Con Carne set. What do you think?
Oh, that is new. I think they look good. I think there's maybe a certain type of plant that you might be missing, but that's for a different show.
Something with more color?
Yeah. More glistening, maybe.
More glistening. I don't know what that means. So nostalgia for me is a misspent youth. I mean, I'll tell you, without not even thinking about this from a painting perspective, just being truthful, my entire junior high school experience, those weekends were spent at record stores. I mean, my entire youth was spent going to Record City in Skokie and buying records, going through every bin, buying posters, buying 7 inches, looking for weird imports and stuff in the cutout bin, going to in-stores of bands I never heard of before. That was my cultural upbringing. Yes, I would hang out at the bowling alley with the drifters and ne'er-do-wells, but for me, I mean, childhood was entirely based on going to the record store and finding money to buy records, working jobs in high school so I could buy more records. It was all about the acquisition of music. No surprise, I've led the career that I've had.
What brings you to the business?
Yeah, I went into radio because I love music. So that's nostalgia. It's nostalgia. It's also the present day for me. As I said, when I started the show tonight, oh my God, I love the fact that I can hold this new Triple Fast Action vinyl release.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I saw that. Music, like you said, it was the same thing for me. I didn't get to that point yet, as far as a piece of art for it. But release day at Rolling Stone, The Hip was my mall. I grew up in Melrose and Stone Park, and that was our closest kind of place. And release day of Rolling Stone was something special.
I still go to Rolling Stone.
Absolutely. I mean, it's I live in Jefferson Park here, so I mean that's my mall. So
yeah, there's a whole circuit I do. In fact, I was in that neighborhood today. I had to run out and do an errand, and I went to Riviera on Harlem to get the Diavolo sub, which is like 3 or 4 kinds of meat, and it's all super spicy with this homemade, super fiery jardinera, just greasy, and my nose was running, the back of my head was sweating. It was so oily and spicy. I was hiccuping about halfway through. Perfection. And it's only about a mile away from Rolling Stones over by the
hill. And I go there a lot, but my sub growing up was Alan Joe's, if you ever had it. It's in Schiller Park. It's right off of Mannheim over there. It's the old Italian guys had the place for 50 years. They make the subs in the morning and they just kind of marinate all day. And when they're sold out, they're sold out. And, like you said, the spicy jardinera and the kind of, the summer day. Oh, let's ride 4 miles on our bikes to go get subs. That's it's crazy to think of nowadays, like how that happened,
Absolutely. All right. So in summary, oddkidart.com. I love the new pieces we got to look at tonight. As I'm looking at over your right shoulder, that water gun piece, if someone doesn't buy that tonight, I don't understand anything anymore. Because it's
great because it's visually stunning. And you know how I antiqued the frame of your piece, and made it look almost like what's the truck from the movie Cars? Mater, right? It's a little beat up because it wasn't check engine light after all. The one with the water guns, I left it nice and shiny, like Mr. and Smith's, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's, or CIA or Columbiana opens their arsenal, and that's kind of what came out. And that's I wonder to myself, why the hell doesn't Super Soaker or the powers that be redo these commercials? That was the hottest thing. I remember asking for squirt guns in December for Christmas and not being able to use them until summer because that was the hottest new Christmas, kind of thing. And get Danny Trejo to come out and sell some water guns.
One other thing I want to mention before I cut you loose. We looked at the boombox piece, just the JPEG of it earlier. Now that I see it over your head, I had no real sense of the enormousness of that piece. That is gigantic.
It's big. You know what? It's perfect it will go perfect as a living room, piece in like a loft or for somebody that's into hip hop and music. And, I mean, it was Do the Right Thing. It was Public Enemy. It was Radio Raheem. It was, fat lace Adidas and Kangol hats and big thick glasses, before hipsters, the rappers had the big thick glasses. So, I always envisioned it on, kind of a exposed brick wall or something in somebody's loft or whatever. Cause it's an over the couch, kind of piece where it's also a conversation piece, oh, that's awesome. And that's really the essence of what I've been trying to do is I'm trying to make cool enough stuff where people say, wow, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're doing it. I love it.
Thank
All right.
you.
So we'll see you for Pulaski Day or Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
or St. Patrick's
absolutely.
Or
whatever's
April Fool's or whatever.
And is it Box Day 3 days from now? Are we, we're not doing that, are we?
I
won't have enough work done.
I'm taking the rest of the holiday weekend off. Carco & Carne will return on Monday.
And happy holidays to you.
Thank you to you as well. And thank you everybody for watching and listening. Truly much appreciated. I'm going to say goodbye to the Facebook live feed right now, but thank you everybody for checking everything out.